Okay, so you are downstairs right now.
I'm downstairs right now.
Okay, thank you. All right, so this is a status conference following the court's order addressing IgG DNA and an order for in-camera review. And when we were talking about this at the last hearing, the state wanted to sort of find out how quickly they could get some of this IgG information back to the court so I could review it. So I'll start with you, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, we met via Zoom or Teams or whatever you call it with the folks from the FBI on Monday, and we had shared with them already a copy of Your Honor's order, and we have now sent a 2E letter, which is the formal request process we have to go through. They indicated that they would try to see if it could be expedited. The 2E letter has to go all the way back to the Department of Justice and route through its bureaucracy. We asked for, give us an estimation, and they said, well, it could take as long as a month. And so that's where we are right now. We're already in the process of making sure we've gathered everything.
Let me be clear. I don't particularly like this guy. Besides being intimidated by Ann and thinking he's the smartest person in the room, I just get the sense that he's one of those people who's used to his word being law and everybody going for his hog feces instead of calling him on it. He's just too cocky and arrogant with his persona, his energy to me, bro. Like, there's no give with you. And I think that's why you're intimidated by Ann. People like him, they have to project, man, cockiness and arrogance and stuff. And Ann, like, it's just a natural thing with her and her kindness, her politeness, her firmness. She doesn't have to project. And I think that may be one of the reasons that he's intimidated by her, man. But just watching this as I'm editing this video, watching him sit there like, yo, they're going to get it when they get it. And then he goes into his spiel about all of the things that they're doing on their end to make it seem like they're trying to accommodate the defense when, sir, you're just used to people not calling you on your bullshit, and that's what we're here for, cuz we don't believe none of that. You're intentionally holding up the process. And before I just repeat and reiterate what I'm going to say in the video, let's get to it. It pissed me off just watching it.
Innocent until we got Court TV today, and Azria Law said that she dropped some jewels. I you know what I'm saying? I kind of like, let me let that go, bro. I'm so straightforward, opinionated, and critical, man. Sometimes I be saying things that probably don't need to be said, but we got Court TV dropping today. You know what I mean? If I was inclined to, I would live stream it. I don't know if they're going to drop it like we can watch it live or you got to watch it on TV or something, because I don't do no TV. I ain't got no TV channels, no cable, no nothing. Anything I watch is on YouTube, and if it's not live, it's a replay. But so I don't know how they're going to, do that episode, but okay, let me say what I'm gonna say about her and be considerate, right? The lady seemed very, very reasonable. She seemed very, very fair, Miss Azri. I don't know how to say her name, Law. I really got no issues with her except the same issue, that I have with her being involved in this new webisode or whatever it's gonna be, man. Me personally, I don't know how you couple yourself, how you partner, how you team up with criminals, you know what I mean? And to be fair, I really think all of these low-tier mainstream media platforms and a lot of these, private and personal, individual and local media platforms, I think they're criminals. I think they are co-conspirators to all of these crimes. You're out here helping accuse and sometimes convict people who aren't guilty of crimes at all. I think that makes you a co-conspirator. So for me, it would be difficult for me to see myself partnering with them without being also able to address that. I did a live, with somebody on my other platform where I joined their live, and that was one of the things I had to talk about. I'm subscribed to their channel, I'm watching their live, so obviously there's something there that draws me. But at the same time, I did have some questions about, some of their activity and some of the things that they had said. So when I think about her being a partner with them, I'm knowing that this is where I had to stop watching her on Twitter. And I'm a little flagrant sometimes, I give you that. I was asking her, like, yo, you seem solid. Like, you don't seem like you have an agenda. You seem like you tell the truth when she's talking about a case. And once again, I'm talking about Miss Azria, however you say her name, Law. She seems to call it down the middle, right? It doesn't seem like she takes a side based on any biases or agendas she has, but she works with some very questionable and obviously questionable people. I don't know, me personally, how you do that. Now, maybe she's testing them and calling them out behind the scenes, and I've also seen, to her credit now, I'm being a little short-sighted and hypocritical here, to her credit, I have seen her say that she gets into it, with her co-workers or those that she partners with in media, because she does talk about these things, right? And they try to silence her. So I'm glad I did remember that. So shout out to her for that. That's another reason that I had liked her, you know what I mean? I don't know. It's a personal thing for me, guys. It's hard for me to see myself teaming up with people that I know are just crooked. That's the bottom line. But anyway, the joint is coming out tonight, man. We will see what Court TV has to say, but we already know pretty much where they're going to be coming from. Just like if she's going to be consistent with the character that she's displayed, we know where she's going to be coming from. So I guess I should say thank God that she's going to be a part of it. And I guess I should say thank God that hopefully she's added some balance to the lies that they're about to tell. You know what I mean? They got that dude Steve Kumu, and we know Court TV. Y'all just got a lot of BS people over there. So hopefully she will add her regular balance to the program, man. I already made this video. Just making it now to see if it's going to come out better than I made it the first time, man. I had so many questions. The FBI going back to the house, man. It just seems like to me, either way, that's just more evidence that we can't trust our law enforcement officials, man, because one angle is that they went back because, this 3D model that they took was already taken early on. Like, this has already been done. So them going back now is just them wanting to get the best product that they can present to the court, to the jury or whatever, which is totally understandable. But it begs the question, if you weren't absolutely confident in the product, the model that you, whichever law enforcement, agency had taken the first time, why would you be willing to tear the house down? Which all of you were. I'm not going to get into that. If you've been following the case, you know that everybody, aside from one or two families, man, was willing to tear, the tragedy house down. So for law enforcement, you should have been the ones raising the red flags and raising the hell, that these families were raising, if you weren't absolutely confident in any of the work that was done before. Because all that says to me is you were willing to destroy, what is still potential evidence or what could still possibly help bring absolute justice in this case. That's a red flag for me. I personally still can't get past, the idea that they're in there cleaning up evidence of their involvement in the case. I know in this instance, that probably doesn't make much sense. For the very reason that I just stated, why would they agree then and not raise red flags and raise hell about a residence that could potentially point to their guilt still standing? If that was still evidence of their guilt or involvement in a crime in that residence, it would make sense to me that they would have been objecting to it, staying up after, the university decided not to destroy it. So while that thought does still linger, and I'm just putting it out there for that reason alone, I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of rule it out when I think about it logically. Not that before and previously when they were sending cleaning crews in there, et cetera, that's not what they were doing. I made a whole video about that. I'm just not convinced that the law enforcement officials from the FBI down aren't involved in this crime in some kind of way. If they're directly involved in the murders, or if they're directly involved in helping whoever is responsible cover it up, you know what I mean? Just doesn't make sense to me previously when they were going back to that house. And like I stated in the video where I covered this, it would be the perfect cover for them to go back, and clean up any evidence of their involvement, because most people aren't going to raise a curious eye at the law enforcement being on the scene of the crime. Hey, that's what they're supposed to be doing. They're investigating, right? It's a perfect cover for me, and I'm not, just overlooking that and turning a blind eye to it myself, because it's just what's going on in Moscow is crazy. I also think with everything going on, man, they have, whether intentionally or not, made a perfect cover for the roommates, because we've forgotten about them all but, right? We're talking about everything but them. Me, myself, my introduction to true crime was the initial video where I said the roommates have always been the best suspect. You know what I mean? Now, tying this to Brian's guilt, tying this to Samantha's new, her story, which isn't new, but it's viral now, so everyone's talking about it, and how we process that. I've always said this about everybody, guys, because I'm not perfect, but I do try my best to be morally consistent. No matter what I accuse the roommates of, no matter what suspicions I have about them or anybody else, no matter what suspicions I have about Brian, etc., Samantha and her story, I don't know anything. And the type of person I am, I'm just not willing to jump out the windows without proof. The irony is, I'll tell you guys a quick story. My buddy came to me last night and said that there's a young lady. I don't know these people. Well, I don't know the young lady. A young lady had called the police on another one of our friends. And, a young lady, our friend met a young lady, and they start, doing what adults do. And I don't know this is true. Hopefully I'll find out today. But the story that came to me, and this was happening in real time, is that the young lady called the police on our friend and told them that he had sexually assaulted her or done something to her. I'm not sure. I'm telling you, all this is happening in real time. I'm minding my business. I see my buddy talking to another acquaintance that we know, and then he walks up to me and tells me that story. But he tells me then, he says, I don't know whose side to take. She could be a trifling female just lying on him and falsely accusing him of whatever she's accusing him of, which we all know happens, or he could have done something to her, and I don't know what side to take. That's what he said, my buddy, about our other buddy who apparently this young lady called the police on. And I said to him, it's funny because I'm having this discussion right now on my true crime platform with some of the people that I kick it with, I politic with, and they're in the same mindset. And what immediately occurs to me when I hear a story like that is, since you clearly don't know what happened, and I emphasize the word no, you clearly don't know what happened, why would you take any side? That is the side to take. I don't know what happened. I will wait for the evidence. And so I'm just referencing back to my initial thought about this crime is that the roommates were always the best suspects, but I don't know that. So if you watch that video, if you watch anything that I say about them, you're going to always hear me emphasize, I'm damn near certain that they are the best suspects, but I don't know that. I always end with that because the way my personality is set up, guys, I'm huge when it comes to respect. I'm huge when it comes to honoring people and valuing people's worthiness as they are created in the image of God. I'm not out here slandering people. If you've seen me operate on Twitter, you see I'll tear into somebody's ass in a minute if they get disrespectful, if they get out of pocket, if they treat me or anybody else, that I just have an affinity for overall or in the moment, in a way that I know they wouldn't want to be treated. I'll tear into your ass. But once again, my purpose is just to remind you that, hey man, you should be respecting us and honoring our humanity the same way that you desire your humanity to be honored, the same way that you desire the humanity of those that you love to respect and be honored. So all of that plays into it for me, man. When we're talking about Samantha and her leading us to now demonize Steve and his family, when we're talking about Brian and the accusations against him, the accusations leading people to demonize Brian and his family, the story and the morality of it doesn't change for me, guys. If I don't know, I will draw reasonable conclusions, but I'm going to be clear that I'm drawing reasonable conclusions. You know what I mean? I'm not going to start demonizing people like I've seen eyewitness testimony or video evidence that I have reason to be demonizing these people. And respectfully, a lot of people do. And since I know for a fact, and I don't know this, but I just know in the sense that I deal with humanity like we all do, most of us don't want ourselves or the people that we love demonized based on accusations. So it just never makes sense to me how we pick and choose when we can do it to people and who those people are that we do it to. But with that aside, like I said, my point in saying all of that is the fact that I just think with everything going on, they've all but made us forget about the roommates. So I'm reminding myself, I was reminded myself, and I'm reminding you guys, they are still on the damn table. They somewhere living their lives. 4 of their, roommates and former roommates are now deceased because they were murdered. I don't think we need to forget about these young ladies at all. And again, with that being said, I'm not saying I know that they're guilty of anything. They may be innocent as doves, but I don't think we just need to forget about them. And I think that's what's happening with everything else that's going on. I did watch, that last hearing, I know it's old, but I did watch the last hearing about Judge John and the IGG evidence. Like I said, I made this video. I wanted to make it again just to see if I could get a better version of it, man. I was just kind of reading off my notes. I don't like always reading off my notes because then I stop and stammer. I'm more of a free-flowing person when I can get my thoughts together. And I just, flow and articulate them, even if it is rambling. But what I gathered from that hearing first, you can't depend on, the December 1st deadline that Judge John set, because not only did he say it, the prosecution, the state said it. Hey, we have to get this information for the FBI, right? From the FBI, the same story they've been telling us for weeks and months. And then they added another layer to it now. They've added another layer into withholding this discovery from Ann and her team. And it is ridiculous to me. Now the other layer and the excuse that I'm calling it an excuse. I don't know it's an excuse, but damn it, I'm calling it an excuse because we're talking about murdering a man, right? We're talking about getting justice for 4 murders. And everybody's human. I'm taking that into account, and there's a lot of bases to cover. I'm doing my best to take that into account. But damn it, while this may be Judge's first time and something like this happening in Idaho, so it's Idaho's first time encounter with this type of circumstance, which he readily admitted, it's going to be hard for me to believe that this is the FBI's first time. It's going to be hard for me to believe that this is Department of Justice's first time. So now when Bill is saying not only do we have to get the information from the FBI, but the FBI is telling us that they have to get approval or some type of clearance from the Department of Justice, so they got to send it to them and then they got to be sent back, or however that process works. We just adding another layer that's saying, hey, yo, bro, we can't get this to her until somebody else does their job. And then they're going to tell us, hey, we're doing the best and we're doing it, expeditiously, so we'll get it to you. And that's what Bill said. And I don't know if you guys watch this hearing or if you wait for content creators to sit back and come and tell you what's going on. But even Judge said, hey man, hopefully they kept, everybody except Ann kept reiterating, hopefully we can get this information by December the 1st. Judge, his quote was, that seems to be more than enough time to get it together to me. So hopefully they can, and then we'll see what happens. The state, Bill, his situation was, the FBI said they'll get it to us when they get it to us, because they got to get, whatever part of the process from the DOJ. Just a bunch of hogwash to me, guys. So don't depend on that December the 1st deadline, because it doesn't sound like to me at all that they're worried about it, which bothers me in a sense. Not just that Ann has been begging for this evidence and you got jackasses out there pretending that they're trying to hold up the case or they have something to hide, when she's clearly saying, hey, I need what you guys have. She also said, I did some research. I mentioned this in a past video about her supplementary evidence request. She's on like her 9th. And when I looked that up, it meant, partially at least, that we're wanting to know that the information that you gave us is complete and nothing was withheld from that. She literally said in this hearing, we have information and we can tell that there are things missing from it. Now, a few hearings back, she was talking about some email chain that she had received. And she said, we can tell from the correspondence that all of the emails aren't there. It's like you're having a conversation with something and then someone answers a question, but the question that they answered isn't even included in the conversation. Just based on the fact that the question was answered, that there was something So where is that at? And that's what she's saying again. I think she was talking about this time, not about the email chain, but about some of the evidence that they have concerning the DNA. So all of that DNA stuff, man, let me finish this thought, then I'll come back to that. Ann is just damn near begging with she's damn near begging with everything in her. Can we get, the evidence? Somebody said we're waiting on the defense to present their legal argument. Well, not us, the court. Somebody said this to me on Twitter. And respectfully, this is what I'm saying when we're thinking through these things. That statement makes as much sense to me as people saying Sam's story is true and, Steve is a horrible father and Christy told her husband to abandon her daughter simply because both of those statements are equally idiotic to me. I just mean that respectfully because I know some of you guys have taken that approach. I'm not trying to disrespect you. I'm just trying to communicate clearly. When you say Christy told her husband to abandon her child and Steve is a horrible parent, because Sam is telling the story and people are drawing their conclusions from it. No proof needed besides the accusations and, you know, the opinions that are being circulated. That's as crazy to me as this person on Twitter saying the court is waiting for the defense to present a legal argument. How the hell do we know any of this that Sam is saying and the opinions that we're forming around it is true without actual facts? I'm not going to keep rehashing that. But how can Ann present a concise legal argument that represents her client best when she's not getting information, discovery, evidence that she's been begging for? Here we go. Evidence is needed, guys, is what Ann is saying. I'm begging for this evidence that you've used to accuse my client so I can form my defense for him. How can I form a complete defense if I don't have everything that you've used to accuse him? How can you guys form opinions about anything if you don't have complete evidence of what you're forming an opinion about? It's not hard just to say, I don't have it. Like Ann is saying. Ann isn't forming the defense and then waiting later so they can say, well, you know, why did you even do that? That's what her client is going to say if it goes up. Why did you even do that when you didn't have all the evidence? Ann is wise. She's saying, nah, I'm going to wait. Even if it means I have to forego a speedy trial, and everybody looking at them crazy about that. They forced them. The state forced. I go getting passionate, so let me calm down. I feel like they were forced to forego a speedy trial. She's still, listen, the speedy trial date would have been for October the 2nd. Correct me if I'm wrong, somewhere around that date. We're a month past that, and she's still saying, I need evidence to make my defense, to put my defense together. How in the hell could they have gone to it? I don't feel like they had a choice, and I feel like that was a strategy that was intentional by the prosecution. I don't know. I wasn't there. See how easy it is to say I feel instead of saying I know? I'm drinking Coke today, guys. Forgive me. Damn it, I always drink Coke. I'm just telling you about it now. I'm rarely drinking it when I'm making videos. I told somebody I'm addicted to Coke. They didn't know me. Can you imagine how that conversation went? So, Ann is still waiting on that evidence. I think that the state is intentionally keeping it from them. I think they're going to continue to do that. You have to take into account that once they do turn it over to the judge, right? Once they turn this information over to the judge, everything that they need to turn over to the judge concerning this IGG puzzle, then he has to go through it and look at it and decide what, the defense can get from that. And he said it himself in this hearing. Number one, he doesn't totally understand it. So if he needs to call in some help, some experts, etc., to help him better understand it, he will. A lot of you, shout out to y'all on YouTube especially, seem to have a great understanding of this. And you readily even admit that you're not sure your understanding is correct, but you damn sure understand it better than me and Judge seems to. But once he gets that and goes through it and turns that over to the defense, whatever out of that he's going to turn over, then he said it is himself. Then there are the other issues pop up, guys. So I'm saying all that to say the question is, we still don't know. When are we anywhere near a trial? I don't know. I just wanted to put that out there. Bill, I'm going to be honest with you, man. If you watch these hearings, that's one reason I said this earlier, man. I'm going to say that I think Bill is absolutely intimidated of Ann Taylor, man. This lady turns me on, man. Can I say that? Yeah, am I allowed to say that? I'm a heterosexual, full-blooded man. Am I allowed to be attracted to women? I just need some damn permission in this feminist-ass world we live in. Don't get me started. Ann turned me on, and I'm going to tell you why, man. You know how much ass and titties I've seen in my life? Forgive me for being vulgar. I'm an old guy, man. I've seen a lot of women in my life, man. And then, I'm put y'all in my business. I've, shared experiences with my fair share. I've had experiences with my fair share. The average things that turn, people on don't turn me on. I'm not attracted to guys, so we can rule that out, right? The average thing that turns people on or that people think turn men on about women don't necessarily turn me on. I'm in Miami, man. I'm going to see 30,000 women today that are physically attractive, or even if they aren't physically attractive, they're more than willing to wear clothes that are very revealing, showing off their sexual nature. The average man is looking and staring, and not the average man, but a lot of men, a fair share of men are looking, staring, they're turned on by that. Society expects that to be just mesmerizing to men. I don't think it is as much as society expects. I think men are much more sexually controlled than we get credit for. There are enough men that you guys can make an argument that men are just sexually deviants, you know what I mean? But I don't think that's as true as people try to make it. But my point is, even when you're dealing with the average man who is turned on by that, not me, bro. I don't like that. I posted on my mail platform the other day, I love a modest woman, you know what I mean? For me, the need to be seen is a total turnoff. So going back to Ann, the type of woman that turns me on, and why I be making these comments about Ann, and it's tied to the fact that I think Bill is intimidated by her. I just like to see this woman use her mind, man, and her intellect. Like that, to me, even saying that to you guys, is just such a total turn on. Number one, I like a thinking person. I like to have articulate, thoughtful conversations where people can set their emotions to the side, or even when you can include your emotions but not allow them to control how you know what I mean, conversate and avail yourself to other people. This isn't a shot either, but most people can't do that. Far too many people can't do that. Far too many people are controlled by their emotions. What their emotions tell them is facts, even if they're looking at the fact that what their emotion is telling them is wrong. They don't give a damn. They are based in how they feel. So when I see a woman, since I'm attracted to women, being able to set her emotions aside and articulate herself intelligently, and I got to stop saying that, because I always say people set their emotions aside. I don't think people are setting their emotions aside. I think they're including their emotions, but again, not letting their emotions control them. So when I see that happening, I'm just sitting back and I'm just admiring that, man. I'm appreciating that. And I see that's what happens with Ann anytime she's in court. Now, I don't know this woman personally. She may be an emotional train wreck in her personal life. But when she shows up professionally, you know, she's not an ugly woman to begin with physically. But like I said, that's not the end all be all for me. It's damn near at the bottom of the totem pole. Now, I do need to be attracted to you physically, but being attracted to you physically doesn't mean that, you know, 90% of the job is done. But when I see this lady, she sits back. Bill takes all of these damn shots. She makes sure that she words herself. You know, she forms her words, her sentences, her expressions in ways that are intentionally unoffensive. I do that, guys. I cuss your ass out in a heartbeat if you get me wrong. I will cuss your ass out in a heartbeat if you get me wrong. I'm a grown-ass man. Who the hell you think you playing with? Oh, man, y'all crazy as hell. But that's on the ladder. I don't even want us to get to that, because I'm going to go out of my way to be respectful to you. I'm going to go out of my way to be kind to you, because I know where I you know, I'm immature. I know where I'm willing to take it. So I'm going to go out of my way to articulate myself in kind and inviting ways, even if there's something I need to say that can be construed as confrontational. I need to say this, so I'm not going to say it. I ain't scared to express myself, but I'm going to take the time to be thoughtful and express this in the most modest and inviting ways possible. I see her doing that, man. With her, she's fighting for a man's life, and if you watch this woman, she's just always saying, hey man, I'm trying to be polite, I'm trying to be kind, but I'm adamant that we need what we need. I'm adamant about what I'm saying, I'm adamant about what I'm expressing, I'm adamant even about what I'm feeling. And then when you hear Bill respond, if you don't watch these hearings, you're gonna be lost at what I'm saying right now. But if you watch them, and if you weren't paying attention, if you're not a very observant person, that's no shot. Some people are, some people aren't. But go watch them, or just watch the next one. Watch when Ann says something, when Ann presents an argument, not her co-counsels, not her team, because I've said they don't really talk much. You know, I haven't seen them talk much when her team says anything, not Bill at least. But watch when Ann says something and Bill himself is the one that responds. And maybe even that young lady I seen responding to her one time. I think they're intimidated by this woman, man. I think they're intimidated by Ann Taylor. I know some of you guys are out on her or suspicious of her for whatever reason you have. I've heard some of you verbalize it's because she graduated from that college. But for me, man, I would feel personally comfortable, you know, in Ann Taylor's hands, man. Especially when I watch things like Bill just being riled up when this lady is invitingly and politely saying, hey man, I remember her saying this, I'm not saying that the prosecution is trying to keep information from us, Judge, but it's very pertinent that we get this information, and up until this moment, we have not been able to. How much more kind, polite, and adamant can you be, man? And here goes Bill. I don't know what she's trying to say, Your Honor, but damn it. Yeah, he ain't say damn it. But, we're doing everything. Bro, calm down, man. The lady clearly just said she's not accusing you of anything. So that was something I noticed when I was watching this hearing, guys. I know I was kind of long-winded with that. I just like Ann Taylor. I really think Bill and maybe even his team is intimidated by her. I don't know if it's because of her wisdom, her intelligence, her intellect, how thorough of a job she seems to be doing. I don't want to rule out the fact that, damn it, she might be, a snake in the grass. She might just be good at acting. I don't know, but that's not the impression that I get. If she's good at acting, then damn it, she's up there with the Denzel Washingtons. And what's that lady name? Angelina Jolie of our world, man. Because I just like this lady, man. She's presented a great case. I had some things to say about Brian Enton and, Christy Gonsalves. I'm sorry, I don't be know how to say them names. Not necessarily pointing to their guilt or anything like that, but just some ludicrous things I seen them say and do. I guess I'll leave that where it's at, man. The FBI going back to the house, I've already addressed that. That's just, either way you look at that, that's very suspect to me. These are the reasons that I find it hard to trust law enforcement officers, because either y'all are conspiring, maliciously, to cover up murders, or your involvement in it, your partner's involvement in it, or you guys are just derelict in your duties, which, everybody's human, but I don't think anybody on this team should be there for the first time. And when I say anybody, you might have 1 or 2 people, but you got 5 to 10 to 15 to 20, detectives on the job. So the great majority of them, I would think their superiors are going to send in the best, meaning this shouldn't be your first time handling something like this, meaning it shouldn't have taken you from whenever this 3D model was constructed the first time up until now to realize, hey, we may need to go back and make sure we got the best product that we're able to. I would think that the first time, whether it was, let's just say it was Moscow PD that constructed the 3D model the first time, I would think that the FBI would be like, well, let's look at theirs and see if it's good enough, or let's just go in there and recreate our own immediately. It happened in November. I don't know when the first one was constructed, put together, but damn it, it's a whole nother November, and now y'all are going back. It just looks crazy, whatever, explanation you have for it to me, especially considering what we're dealing with. I just want to make sure, so what I may do, guys, is look at my notes that I took to make the first video, and just come back and throw something on the end of this one. But all in all, man, the roommates can't be forgotten. Any other valid suspects. I want to dive into the Jack angle. Everybody keeps talking about Jack, whether it's Jack S or Jack D or Jack A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Respect to those young men. I want to do that, but I got to do, y'all know me if you've been watching for a while. I'm just kind of organic. I don't like to do things just to be doing them. I go where my heart leads me. So maybe I want to get to the Jack video, and I want to say I am, but then I don't want to lie. I be lying sometimes, right? So hopefully I'll get to the Jack video just to share my opinions on that. I know some of you guys think he's absolutely guilty. Whichever Jack. It's damn too many Jacks. Jack in the box, Jack in the stock. I don't know. But some of y'all think one or all of the Jacks are guilty. Some of you guys aren't even thinking about them like me. Maybe we can discuss that in another video, guys. I'm umming because I want to make sure I don't leave anything out. I do be going live randomly. I'm sorry I can't be like, yo, we're going to do a live, etc., etc. I don't. We're going to see what they say on the Court TV Weber series, documentary, whatever the hell they got. We know besides Azriel Law or Serial, I don't know your name, shorty, shout out to you. We know besides her, I don't know who else they got on Court TV that makes any sense and tries to be fair about the situation. So it's probably going to be a bunch of goobity gawk. I definitely made that word up. But I'm about to go and handle some business, and I'm probably going to look at my notes and see if anything I'm missing, and maybe more on the end, guys. But I guess the bottom line that I made this video to say is, it still appears to me a valid question. Who the hell can we trust in Moscow? Judge John. That's one thing I put in my notes. And that's what I'm going to end this video with. Who can we trust in Moscow, man? The police either are maliciously conspiratorial or doing a horrible or a job that we can absolutely question, because what the hell are y'all doing? Y'all supposed to be experts. Y'all supposed to be experienced. But I mean, that's just from going back to the house. There's other things we can look at and say, man, hell no, we can't trust y'all. The state, y'all look clearly to me don't have a damn case. Somebody said this on YouTube, and this is something else I talked about. Y'all are putting it together as you go. Whether you had this man cherry-picked, hand-picked to frame from the beginning, or whether you just wanted to calm public outrage and fear, so you snatched him up and said, hey man, we have enough and we'll put the rest together later. You clearly don't have a case, and so the have enough part is just not there for you, so you just right now stumbling and struggling to add to put the rest together later, and it's not happening for you. I really think y'all messed up with that IGG stuff, and you're trying to behind the scenes put it together and make it make sense, so when you give it to the judge and the defense, they won't call y'all out about it. Hell, the whole case may be out the window once the IGG discovery is turned over. I'm down here in Florida. I wanted to do a video about this. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 murderers. Like, they shot up a crowd, guys. This is real life. It happened. 2 or 3 murderers. A guy took them to the scene. Well, I don't know if he took them. He went to the scene to watch out for them while they drove up and shot up a crowd, and people died and got shot. You know what I mean? They walked. Let me tell you something. It's not a question about whether they did the crime or not. It's clear that they did it. It's on video that they did it. I know this is America. People are outraged about it. You should be, in a sense, right? We should be in the sense that, damn it, how can we see somebody commit a crime and they get away with it? You shouldn't be in the sense that we should trust our justice system to be stable. It can't just move like a lot of our morality do. It can't be here one day and here the next day. But these people murdered someone on camera. The video evidence is there. There's no doubt about whether they did it or not. They walked. They're absolutely free. No double jeopardy whatsoever for this crime because the police didn't do their job right? And what I'm being told is that the police, what I just told you is not rumor. This is facts. I didn't research it enough to find out if this is what actually happened or not, pertaining to what the police did wrong for them to walk. But what I'm being told is that after these guys and ladies or whoever was involved, I'm not trying to give too much away, you can research it yourself. It happened in Florida. After they asked for lawyers, attorneys during interrogation, the police kept questioning them. So they were able to walk on the crime because they got to give you an attorney and stop questioning you once you ask for it. I'm pointing that out to say there are things that the state does and the law enforcement does in these cases, man, that actually hinder justice and pervert justice. Can you imagine being a family member of one of these young people that were murdered in Florida and knowing that their killers are walking the street because the police fucked the case up? I personally, I'm not wishing this on anybody, but I personally wouldn't be surprised if one of these people do something to one of those police officers. My family, my loved one was murdered, and their murderer is walking the street because your ass wanted to pervert justice and not do your job right. That shit is insane. Now, if that isn't a kick in the face, if that isn't a slap in the face, the young man, I'll tell you that, who was just a watch out, he snitched on them. That's another reason that they know he did. They who committed this crime, he snitched. He just drove to the scene to be a lookout. He told on the people. And I guess they handled his process, his investigative process right. He just got sentenced to life in prison. So the guy that was a lookout on the case was caught and sentenced to life in prison, while the people who actually committed the crime were able to walk because the police fucked justice up. I'm sorry to use that word. I might beep it out, but that's what happened. How would you feel if that was your family member? I think that may happen right here in Moscow with the IGG evidence. I want to, stress think. I think why are you going way out of your way to hide this evidence, Bill? You already seen it. In some way, your team already had access to it. If you could get access to it, then damn it, why is it such a struggle to give, access to it to the defense so they can prepare their case? Judge. I be back and forth about homie, man. I'm going to tell you what my final thesis is. Final as in final up until this moment. I don't think he's crooked. I don't think he's conspiratorial. I think he's just way too kind, polite, and appropriate, man. I don't think he has the cajones. I already said that, right? You know people like this, man. They're not wanting to have anything to do with any tension, any drama. When they see those type of things, they're either leaving or they're trying to de-escalate it, man. It's people out there like it, man. And I'm the total opposite. I don't want nothing to do with it, but I ain't running from it. You see what I'm saying? If you bring drama to me, if you bring tension to me, you might get your ass cussed out one day you might get ignored. I don't know. But one thing for sure, two things for certain. I ain't running from it. However I handle it, it's not because you inspire any fear in me, any discomfort in me, or any of that. I'm on your ass if you try to get on mine. It's gonna go how it's gonna go. But you got people like I sense Judge to be. They're just kind of polite. When things get a little tense, they may giggle, they may laugh or whatever, but they're gonna do everything they can to de-escalate any tension, anxiety, and animosity in the room. That's just how they operate, and that's what I get from this guy. I don't think he's scared to call anybody out. I think he'll call them out, but like the anxiety, you know what I mean, and the agitation comes when he actually have to stand on people who disobey their orders. He's like the parent who will tell their kid to do something, but the kid keep doing it, and you don't want to discipline them or whatever. I think that's Judge. It's not because he has any conspiratorial or malicious intents. He just don't like drama, and he's not really equipped to deal with it. I don't know this man. I'm not telling you what I'm saying is true. I'm just telling you this is what I perceive of him. The problem I have, though, and this is why I think it's easy to read him as conspiratorial and malicious, is because usually his politeness and his kindness ends up working in favor of the prosecution. You need to force, and I think one reason that's happening is because Ann and her team ain't necessarily doing a damn thing wrong. So therefore, when he has to call the prosecution or the media out, who's just, the prosecution is Jordan, the media is Scottie Pippen. They working hand in hand. Maybe for different reasons or whatever, but they damn sure working hand in hand. At least it seems like that to me. So now when somebody has to be called out, it's going to be one of those two entities. And then when it's time to stand on what he called them out for, Judge isn't the type of person that's going to stand on it. That's just not him. He's going to try to find a happy medium where he can still give them what they want. That's what he did with the cameras, and still try to appease whoever's on the other side. Like, I'm going to make sure they do what they're supposed to do because I got to take control of my courtroom. Well, duh, Negro. But I would... In a sense, I would love to see Ann and her team do something or continuously do. I'm glad they don't now. This is just me hypotheticalizing here. I just made that word up. I would love to see them being out of pocket and having to be called out and see how Judge responds to that. Because I'm going to be honest with you. From what I've gathered from him, I think he would take the same approach, and then we would get to see. He's not just trying to, take up for the prosecution. He's just not like that hard-handed disciplinarian. So I think if he had to call Ann them out, he would do the same thing. He would be like, well, you're going to have to stop doing this. You're going to have to stop doing that. But then if they did it again, I think he would just be like, well, you're going to have to stop. He's that person, guys. So that's what I gather of him, which is to me it makes it easier for justice to be perverted. I want to be gracious to him, though. He is handling a capital murder case where 4 people were, lost their lives in a tragedy. He readily admits that he doesn't absolutely understand all of this IGG information. A lot of people don't. It's a new process to the criminal investigation scene. He readily admits that he's never been involved in something like this before. So while it's easy, I think, for a lot of us to stand back and, criticize and be critical of him, and that might be fair too, considering what the stakes are, I think it's also fair for us just to consider the fact that if we were in his shoes with the information and the experience that he has, we might be fumbling and stumbling much like him as well. And if you can't relate to being in his shoes exactly, just think back to a time when you were in a situation and, great responsibility was placed on you, but it was your first time handling it. Maybe your first time being a parent. You got to learn how to parent your child. You don't know everything about it. You're in these mother groups, you're in these dad groups, you're asking your homeboy, you're leaning on your husband, you're leaning on your wife. Your first time at a job, you've been a manager before, you've been in whatever position you're in before, but you're at a new company, or your first time you're fresh out of college. It's a lot of situations we find ourselves in that we haven't been in before, but once we're able to get the grace of growing through our experience, we become, air quotes, masters at those things. So that's my final thought, guys. I don't think Judge is trying to pervert anything. I think he's learning as he grows, and I think sometimes his polite, appropriate, and anti-drama personality just makes him look a little more suspicious and malicious than he actually is. I don't know. Tell me your thoughts. Innocent until. Y'all be safe.
A lot of what I'm reading and learning from is all the information that both sides have submitted to me, or telling me in these hearings. So that's I'm not pulling information from outside of that, because that's not on the record. I suppose if I have to bring somebody in to help me understand this, you will know that. Both sides will know that. Another way to look at this is I could have another hearing, and you all can help me understand this if that's necessary. I think I have a fundamental understanding about all of this, and that's I think expressed in the order. But I understand this is complicated stuff, and it's somewhat controversial. So I will do my best. That's the best I can do. All right. Anything else then?
The wonderful thing about, waiting for information to be verified, I told y'all the story about my friend being accused, or maybe accused of some things, and my other friend, kind of being torn between what side he should take. When I walked into the coffee shop today, man, to sit down and start working, my friend who was accused was in there doing what he usually does, man. He's not hiding from officers. He's definitely don't look like he's hiding from nobody. He's sitting right there doing what he does, drinking coffee, minding his business, which tells me that, last night's rumors were out, they were a little provocative and, out of the window. And that's how things can go when we just form opinions and rush to believe things about people without them being verified. So for me, that was just like a God story, a God moment, just to verify the fact that we should always wait for proof before we just believe anything that's said or accusatory pertaining to another person, man. My friend is okay. It doesn't look like, he is having some relationship issues, but nothing